Welcome to the Recruiting Scoop on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com. I'm Joe Cook. That's Justin Wells. I know I got it titled Recruiting Intel. Lots been going on this morning, but this is a Recruiting Scoop. Thank you for watching. Make sure you like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. And, of course, make sure you head to InsideTexas.com. Bam. Use that first link in our description. Use that QR code at the top left of the screen. Sign up for just $1. Then you'll get 50% off your first year. This is a fun time for recruiting because the visit craze has dissipated a little bit, but the recruiting craze is not. Lots of players making decisions, lots of things happening behind the scenes with schools jockeying for position as players make their final, at least in the summer, decision. So come check us out at Inside Texas. We've had all the information over there. And Justin, we are going to talk about the 5 most important remaining recruits that are still out there for Texas. None of them have committed quite yet, but the Longhorns are either in a good position or at the very least a hat on the table for a lot of these guys. But we'll start with a guy where the Longhorns are in a good position. Going to your neck of the woods, going up to East Texas, going right by Jeff Traylor Stadium. That's Ismail Kamara, 6'6", 335. Talked about him a ton. The French freak, the 5-star. Longhorns are in a battle with Oregon, SMU, A&M involved, Alabama involved, but Texas continues to make good headway in this recruitment.
Yeah, coming out of that unofficial visit in the last weekend, Texas really answered a lot of questions. Man, Kamara came with more information and more data in this trip than before, and he came with a notepad. He had a lot of things he needed answered. He had a lot of things that he wanted to line up. And we tried to explain just how complex this recruitment is on the other side of the field when it comes to stuff like his eligibility and graduating early and his citizenship, his green card, stuff like that. That's all in, that's its own type of recruitment. But right now, here's the thing. Texas I talked to someone last night close to the recruitment. Texas is completely separated from the pack. SMU, Oregon, Texas A&M were really 3 schools at one point. I think you could have said, hey, Kamara may be leaning, that direction. But the truth is our messaging hasn't changed. This was Texas recruitment to lose. And I think the Horns have established themselves as not only the leader, but the leader far and away. All we're waiting for now is a decision. And all I can tell you is that Texas is on a heater right now, Joe. Steve Sarkisian and Brandon Harris and Chris Gilbert and Will Muschamp, these guys are cooking right now. They're on a heater. And so I absolutely love the trend line with Kamara. I love it so much I would almost want to shoot off fireworks for it.
We got to call our guy Cody Belair and be like, hey, can we rank him as an offensive tackle? It's about time for that. I know he's busy.
Kamara, actually, we talked about that, and he's not upset. And I said, so you're not? He goes, no. He said, because when they did the rankings, I was 380 pounds. So I probably was a guard. So when they redo them, they'll know better. Kid is mature, brother.
Interesting. Well, I'll see what Cody thinks. We need to check in.
We love Cody. We love Charles.
Cody's up there at the opening right now talking to some of the other players that we may mention a little bit in this show. Also, get in some questions. We'd love to go over those. David Rawls, you've got the idea, though. Kamara, Swanson, and Roa, Hemphill Woods, Jackson Cook. That's just about everything you could want from an offensive line class. And we saw it in 2022. You can fill so many spots. You can fill 7 spots. I don't know if Texas is going to do exactly that, but if they hit the home run with Kamara, man, you have to feel like this may be one of the better offensive line classes in the entire country. We go from great news to let's deliver the news. Marcus Fakato, and if you go to Inside Texas, Adam Gorney from Rivals has a great article. His dad played rugby in Japan. He is originally from Alaska. 6'7", 280, plays defensive end, goes to Sierra Canyon out in the Los Angeles area, played at Orange Lutheran, so he's with some of the better Los Angeles area high school teams. And this has always been a battle. We've got a top 3 now. That's probably a top 2 of Texas and Ohio State. Yeah. The Longhorns are trying really hard, have told him that they expect him to play defensive end for Texas if that's where he picks, but it's real tough to overcome the Buckeyes in this one, it sounds like.
Yeah, it feels like this is Larry Johnson over Allen Clark level stuff. Almost like it's personal. And I know those two guys are joined at the hip. Those are old friends, old colleagues. But when you talk to Marcus, those are the two names he mentions when he's talking about his favorite schools and his favorite colleges and favorite coaches. Like those are the two. Yeah, he's coming off the board on Monday. And if I had an RPM for him, I would probably pick Ohio State. I think that's where this is trending. I think it's been trending there for a while. I think Texas gave him really something to think about on the OV. And then he saw Kasai Curry, his teammate at Sierra Canyon, jump in. And so I think it gave him a little bit of pause at the moment, but I think he's full on looking at Ohio State right now. That's not going to stop Texas. This is a kind of kid that you can recruit through the whistle. This is a kid you keep on the big board. And so they'll continue that relationship because they are close. If you come in second in a big-time recruitment, stay in it because you never know what can happen. Anything can change, but I think this is Ohio State. I think he's going to announce it on Monday, and I think Texas is going to just stay the course.
Win some, lose some. Texas already has a really strong edge class without him in it anyway. When you look at Fields,
I mean, Cam Hall is
Jabarius Garor.
Yeah, they'll be fine. But Texas, the rich like to get richer.
Yeah, I don't know if I would call the current class a home run. I think it's a triple. If you add Facato, it's a grand slam, though.
Oh, 100%. I would give it a ground rule double right now. And Cam Hall could maybe bump that to a triple if he continues to get bigger every time he arrives in Austin.
It's part of recruiting. Not all of them are going to go your way, but there is value more so than ever than finishing in second place. Still, you do want to finish in first place, and Texas is trending closer and closer to the top of the podium, if not at the top of the podium, for Landon Williams-Callis. This one feels like the official visit was the difference maker as Texas battled with. Basically, think of a school, and Landon Williams-Callis is probably getting recruited by them. Houston, Missouri, I said Houston, SMU, Texas A&M, LSU, Oregon. Bunch of different schools have been in the mix. But he takes that official visit to Texas on that last weekend, and the Longhorns have since that Sunday he left, just continued to look stronger and stronger for this one. And do we have an idea of when this may be announced, a decision may be coming down?
Yeah, so talking to Charlie Williams, our co-pilot over there at Inside Texas, we're here in July. We're here in the month of July. We don't know exactly the date. We've heard a couple different dates, but it seems like July seems like that might be where he's ready to make this decision, make this call. You actually described it perfectly. You nailed it. Like that OV was the difference. Like that had to happen. And they did everything they needed to. Jabbar Jaluk pulled out all the stops. And so Texas went from a non-factor 6 months ago. I'm telling you, non-factor in 6 months to potentially landing him. That's how much Jabbar Jaluk has made up slack and made up ground in this recruitment. I still feel like this has a few twists and turns, Joe. I don't think it's as simple as we're seeing it right now for some reason. I just feel like this one still has a few angles left. We know Texas A&M is not letting up. They are still coming after him. We know Oregon still likes him. And obviously all the other schools. This morning on his Instagram, I think he posted photos from like 10 different official visits. It felt like he took. And so Landon's enjoying the process. He's enjoying all this notoriety. But let's say early mid-July. Like I think he'll come off the board then. Where he goes, we like Texas right now. But again, I think there's an ebb and flow to this recruitment. So just keep your feet steady. Stay in your boots. Keep your feet steady. We got a positive. Texas has the momentum right now. I can tell you that. They have the momentum going into the next month. They just have to just hang on to it. Hold on loosely.
This is a good question. Would Derek Cooper, Roberts, and Landon Williams-Callis deter Micah Rhodes in the 28 class? On the surface, probably. But that's Jabbar Jaluk's job to tell him, no, don't worry about that.
Knowing Micah Rhodes, no, not at really? All. Okay. Not one. No. And that's a good question, David. It really is. And these are questions you have to answer every cycle with your position groups. But specifically, Micah Rhodes, will have zero problem jumping into this room with all these other guys. If Michael Rhodes could have committed to Texas, he already would have, guys. So, David, this is a legit question, but I think in the particular of Michael Rhodes, he'll commit to Texas no matter what the bullpen looks like.
Understandable. Before we keep going, got to show some love to our sponsor. That is Andre the Lawyer.
Texans know when you're injured, there's one name that gets results: Andre the Lawyer. Trust the team that has secured millions for their clients and helped thousands of Texans win their injury cases. Car wrecks, slip and falls, 18-wheeler accidents, on-the-job injuries, wrongful deaths. Don't let the insurance companies tell you what your claim is worth. Andre the Lawyer will fight for you. His principal office is in Dallas, but they serve Texans throughout the state. So don't wait. Call 214-444-8808. That's 214-444-8808. Contact info is in the description.
I know there are a lot of questions about Easton Royal in this class. Lots of, if you watched the commitment ceremony for Neiman Lawrence, it seems like our others in the recruiting sphere were already chalking up a couple flips, but doesn't mean like I mentioned with Eric this morning, every piece of reporting about Easton Royal is about teams being on the heels of Texas. But you can only be on the heels if you're behind somebody. So that's one way to look at it. That's a Texas perspective of looking at it. And Texas would definitely like to get not only the number 1 wide receiver recruit in the 2027 class, but the number 2 wide receiver recruit in the 2027 class. That's Monshun Sales. Charlie Williams had a great piece of intel over in Inside Texas this morning. Yes. Monshun Sales is from the state of Alabama, and there are some Alabama connections on the Longhorns roster. So go check that out over at IT. But even without the Alabama connections, which are going to play a little bit of a part, the connections with guys like Chris Jackson, with Steve Sarkisian, with the coaching staff have put Texas in a position to be a bona fide contender with Ohio State and with Indiana. And maybe I think those are the top 2 in this pursuit.
LSU is also slinging some dough at him.
Right. So, I mean, and just a contentious recruitment for a 5-star receiver. But, hey, Longhorns feel like they're in as good a spot as they can be after the official visit. And they're kind of playing, forgive the pun, with house money after having 3 wide receivers committed in the class. And, you know, this could be the 4th, could be the 3rd if things go a different direction. This is one of those fun ones that you get to track and you see where it goes. And Texas has put a very, very strong pitch in front of Monshun Sales.
This is where Chris Jackson, I think, is operating at a very high level as a college level recruiter now. He sees foresight. You've got to have foresight in these classes with these kids, especially when they commit super early and they're out of state. When that happens, you have to be able to adjust and adapt quickly. Keep your head on a swivel. So when they were introduced to Monshun, they really didn't think they had much of a shot. But they found some connections. They found some like-mindedness. So he comes to Austin, and they absolutely slayed that OV. The family loved it. The family was connecting with fellow players, parents, and recruits. It was exactly what you needed to show Monshun Sales. If you pick Texas, this is how they roll. That being said, to me, it was never a likelihood these 2 were going to be in the same class. But if you ask Texas, they want at least one of them. And I don't think there's a preference. Obviously, Easton Royal is the committed kid at the moment, and I'm almost certain they would rather keep Royal in this class and you know, good luck Sales in the Big Ten and blah, blah, blah. But you have to have a backup plan. You have to have contingencies, especially after you take an official visit, you get an OV from your commit, and he doesn't publicly shut it down. That may trigger a few alarms. Texas still has confidence. They're going to sign Royal to the end of the day. But that seems that's going to be tested more and more over the next 5 months. Sales gives you the opportunity to cover your back. Not to mention, he would be a fit. This is not – it kind of reminds me of the Ryan Wingo recruitment a little bit. Like, no matter where he goes, what he does, he's going to fit. He's a one-size-fits-all type of receiver. And so – Texas is just being smart. They're making sure they have a backup plan. They're making – and Monshun Sales saying that and backup plan in the same sentence sounds incredibly naive, but you do get the context of it. Like this is a contingency. If they can get this kid, They're going to be tickled pink. I don't think they can get both, but I think Texas is trying to at least split the baby.
One of the things with this is just we see I got my thought. Monson Sales can watch Cam Coleman this year, and I feel like that even no matter what decision he makes in the month of July, which he said he plans to do at some point, man, that might make a difference because Monson Sales probably sees a lot of himself in Cam Coleman. All these decisions, they come down in the summer. Yeah, but the real decision is, do I put this pen to paper and do I put the do I send in the facts? Do I scan the PDF and send it in? So just, this is a fun one. And I think I know what you mean. Contingency makes it sound like backup, but it's like, do I put my money on this horse who's 4-3 or this horse that's 3-2? I think I had that right.
You did. No, that's it.
Yeah.
You just said it.
Those are the betting favorites. Yeah.
When you're Texas, we've learned there are kids that want to come to see Texas to see what it's all about. And some of them leave thinking, you know what, I'll be fine somewhere else. Some of them leave and thinking, I got to come back. And so that's why you shoot your shot with these big-time kids. And Texas is a big-time program, and they can compete with any team in the country for any recruit. And that's them doing that with Monson.
And one thing that I'm just thinking of, like when Steve Sarkisian arrived, he complained publicly, like, we got too many receivers. Like they had like 15 receivers. And granted, the portal was not as accessible to where guys couldn't just jump in and leave right away if they weren't getting catches. But he keeps that roster at the max at around 10. And that means, you know what? That means there aren't as many dollars that have to go to that position. So I wonder if that aspect of roster management, that Sark just is like, look, I don't need all these receivers. I'm not an air raid guy. I'm not running 4 wide sets. I run a lot of 2 wide receiver sets. I don't need all that many. I don't need a bunch of expensive guys. And if they are, I want them to play right away. I wonder if that helps them be able to give more competitive NIL offers. And I say that without knowing off the top of my head, like LSU's wide receiver and Indiana, Alabama, Ohio State, like the numbers they dedicate to the position. But I wonder if that's one of the things that maybe helps all these schools who are decently known for wide receiver ability. Go to the defensive side of the ball. Got a decision tomorrow. Montre Jackson, Garland, Lakeview, Centennial. Yeah. Texas did not get Dylan McGee the other day. He's headed to Penn State.
Yeah.
Looking like Greedy James is going to end up flipping. They do have John Meredith in the class. And Montre Jackson is someone that they would definitely like to add as we get closer and closer to a decision. Seems like the hats on the table are going to be Texas, SMU, Texas Tech, and Ole Miss. Justin, what do you think about this one?
I think the same thing we thought back, I guess it was in February or March. As soon as they offered him, he was going to go to Texas if they took him. It was going to be as simple as that. And the coolest thing about Montre is that he had like 30 offers before Texas even came calling. But he kept the horns because he grew up loving Texas. Some of these kids grow up loving Texas. And we hear the dreaded dream school quote sometimes, but sometimes it's real. Sometimes it's legitimate. And that's where it is with Montre Jackson. I think Texas has had this recruitment from the start. It was a sense of really just getting all the details figured out, how he would fit, where he would play. He is a true corner. He's a 10'3", 700 kid. He's getting bigger, 6'1", about 185. Charlie saw him at a track meet a couple months ago. Unbelievably positive, energetic kid. It really polar opposite personality of John Meredith. And I think that's unique because you're going to have one on each side of the field if he picks Texas. And you know how John operates. He's an assassin. He is a DB mindset, man on the island like anybody else. Montre brings a positive vibe. He's coming to play. He's coming to compete. I think he's not only going to be great on the field, I think he's going to be great in the locker room if he picks the horns. I love where Texas stands here. There's a lot of good DBs in state this year. So I feel like they're going to get their fix with 3 or 4.
That's the 5 that you identified in the most important recruits article you posted earlier.
Didn't you add one more?
But we got one more to talk about.
I was about to say, I think you added one.
I did. One decision that's coming today. About 90 minutes from now, it'll be on the Rivals Recruits YouTube channel. That's Junior Tuopo from Alabaster, Alabama. Thompson, which is a power in that state. Or he's originally from Florida. I think either from Tampa, maybe from somewhere in the Panhandle. Not exactly sure off the top of my head. But 6'2", 195-pounder, very, very versatile. Called Texas his leader coming out of the official visit. Went to see Auburn, went to see Alabama. But we're telling people to watch this announcement in about 90 minutes.
So the biggest worry with Tuiapo is he's very, very close, tight-knit with his family. And that's tough to for a kid to leave that. When you leave the state, you leave that circle, that village. That's a tough thing to ask for. And honestly, this recruitment, I felt like he's so ingrained with his family that he was going to stay in state. It was going to be Alabama or Auburn. Both were recruiting him hard, both with legitimate NIL offers. We just kind of thought they would cancel, that one would be the other. We didn't know Texas would cancel both of them out. And that's what it's trending right now. Like he took it, you want the last OV. The first OV might be what clinched it, which that's a little backwards sometimes. But Tuiapo broke down everything he needed. I wouldn't be surprised if he had some family members move to Austin if he picks the Horns. Texas needed a really good safety in this class. We know Greedy James came in as a safety. He's kind of transitioned a little bit more to a corner because of the camp performances and things of that sort. They needed a really good safety in this cycle. Last year, they kind of just got it over the line, the signing day line in a sense. Not here. This kid reminds me of one of those early 2000s USC safeties, man. He tracks, he smacks. He's got a very good mentality. He's a bigger kid than you think. I met him in April, and my first take wasn't a safety. I thought he was, played a bigger position. But I love what they did on this OV. I'm going to give Blake Gideon even more credit than I have. I mentioned him with Kamara doing a great job. I'm going to mention him again. Blake Gideon is a sneaky, damn good recruiter. We have to give him credit for that now. These players love playing for him, and these recruits love getting recruited by him. And so if Junior picks the Horns in 90 minutes, you got to give Blake Gideon a tip of the cap. You got to give the Horn staff and the recruiting staff a tip of the cap for an outstanding OV. And then we got to start trying to find somewhere to live for his family in the ATX.
And one more safety. I think that's what they need to find.
Do they want one more? I think they do. I think they would like one more. I don't think they have to, but I think they would really like one.
I think they can find one more.
Oh, I know they can find one.
That's what guys like Blake Gideon are good at doing. So
absolutely.
Hey, make sure you head to Inside Texas. Use that first link in our description. Use that QR code at the top left of the screen. Sign up for just $1 and get 50% off your first year. Of course, check in with us in about 90 minutes. If that decision goes Texas' way, we're going to have all the intel. We'll have all the intel all weekend. Decision to track tomorrow with Monterey Jackson. Couple decisions to track Monday. And then decisions to track throughout that first week of July. So make sure you come to Inside Texas. Justin, thank you so much. Thank you for watching. See you next time on the Inside Texas Football YouTube channel powered by InsideTexas.com.